First story. My 28 male boyfriend 30 male decided it was okay to talk about our ex-life with my estranged sister 34 female. I need to know where to go from here. Last summer my sister was in the middle of her master's program. And the stress from that. Her toddler. And her failing marriage was causing her to lash out and my parents and me. She would pick really terrible fights with my parents at the dinner table. There were times when she would call my parents and scream at them over the phone while saying some really vicious things. You no longer have a daughter. I'll never let you see your grandson again. Etc. And she was constantly belittling her husband and getting into major verbal altercations with him. She once had a 2-hour argument with him because he didn't fill up the gas tank in her car. My family and I had always thought that there might be something mentally wrong with her. My grandma was very heavily schizophrenic, and that crap has a tendency to skip generations. My entire family, at one point or another, has been in therapy for something. And most recently it's been to figure out what's wrong with my sister. 3 different therapists have told us that based on what we've discussed it sounds like she has a mix of borderline paranoid personality disorder, and that if she doesn't get into one-on-one counseling nothing is ever going to get better. No one has told her this. Eventually, though, I was done. I couldn't take the chaos my sister was creating in my life, and I decided it was healthier for me to just cut her off. At least temporarily. Until I figured out what to do next. She was pissed and hurt that I cut her off and proceeded to lambaste me across social media to all our mutual friends and family. Twitter. Facebook. You name it. She spread it around. She even started a hashtag. I am not kidding. A hashtag to count the months that I had gone without speaking to her, and all of our mutual friends saw it. None of them ever came to me to get my side of the story. Which hurt. They more or less ceased contact with me and stopped even inviting me to gatherings with them. So I allowed myself to grow apart from them, figuring, hey, my sister needs friends. She can have them. I don't really want to be a part of this any more. I am cutting my losses and getting out. Quite frankly, I never offered up any details about what happened between my sister and me to anyone outside my parents and my boyfriend. I didn't think it was anyone's business, and I didn't feel like airing our dirty laundry out for everyone to see. I had originally hoped that my sister and I could solve our differences between just the two of us. I was pretty wrong. When all this went down, I asked my boyfriend to not make contact with her. I didn't want him to get drawn into her world, or any of the madness she was creating, because it really just didn't have anything to do with him. Part of it was also because I wanted to control the situation. If things were going to get patched up between the two of us, it needed to be on my terms. Yesterday my boyfriend and I got into a fight. He had come home drunk the night before. Which I don't care about. He's allowed to party as long as he's safe. But he was loud as duck and woke me up, and I only got 3 hours of sleep. I was grumped when he woke up. And when he went to go take a shower, I got into his phone because, well, I was annoyed. Lo and behold, I found he and my sister have had a couple conversations over the past several months. For whatever reason he took it upon himself to reach out to her. A lot of it was her telling her side of what happened, omitting the terrible things she'd done and putting the blame on my shoulders, while also trying to give him a good analysis of my psyche. I am the golden child of the family. I am a spoiled brat. I've never been responsible for anything except myself. I live a life of isolation. Blah blah blah. And when she did this, he accepted it. He didn't say, you know, this really isn't any of my business. The two of you need to work things out. He just sort of accepted her at her word. And then he exchanged phone numbers with her. And then I found they had been texting each other. And then I found that he was telling her private details about our ex-life. And then I was ducking pissed. It's right about then that he got out of shower, found me with his phone, and I completely lost my crap. I screamed. And I yelled. And I laid into him. I was hurt. I felt honestly betrayed. He could have reached out to anyone. My parents. My friends. Whoever. But instead he decided to strike up a conversation with my sister, who I haven't spoken to in a year, and then tell her he's not happy with our ex-life. He said he did it because he feels the two of us need to patch things up. He said he reached out to her because he just wants my family to be happy. And while that's great, it doesn't in any way excuse him talking about our ex-life with her. And how in any world that would be considered appropriate is beyond me. It also, again, has absolutely nothing to do with him, and it's not his responsibility to mend the relationship between her and me. Period. I feel like if I explicitly ask him, hey, don't make any contact with my sister because all this crap is going down and I need to handle it, and he's not willing to have my back on that, it's a huge trust issue for me. Especially since I asked him that from the very beginning. It was important to me. I didn't want anyone involved in this outside of my immediate family. What do I do? Too long didn't read. My boyfriend revealed private details of our ex-life to my estranged sister, and I feel like a huge bond of trust has been broken. I think the fact he reached out to her when you explicitly asked him not to is a huge violation of trust. Add to that the fact that he discussed personal details with her while keeping it all a secret from you. What the duck? I am not sure I'd be able to trust him again. Whatever his stupid reasoning was. Your relationship with your sister is none of his business. It sounds like your sister is very manipulative and wants back into your life. But on her terms. So she's sucking your boyfriend into a relationship in order to do it. It's not uncommon. I know a woman whose husband's brother was so jealous. He raped his brother's wife and claimed she slept with him willingly. There's nothing quite like a crazy, jealous sibling. It also helps to have a stupid boyfriend. I suggest you make him a stupid ex-boyfriend. I saw a therapist to discuss personality disorders and how to handle them in anticipation of patching things up with my sister. She basically said the same thing. So I'd say you're completely right. She is very manipulative and also very not well. I just reached a point where I am unwilling to deal with it anymore. As for the stupid boyfriend part, we'll see. I have a sister with bipolar disorder as well, and I am in the beginning stages of making distance and cutting contact with her. So I can relate to you on that note. I also have a boyfriend. However, he would never reach out to her because he understands as much as he can her history of manipulation, violence, anger, emotional instability, etc. He has a relationship with her solely because I wanted them to meet when we started dating almost 3 years back, and he makes an effort when it's important to me. Now that I've been pulling back, he just supports me because he wants me to be happy on my own terms, and he knows that it is healthy for me to maintain distance with her for my sanity. I really feel for you in this situation. While it is understandable that he wants to help and make the situation better, he needs and should already understand that the only way he can do that is by supporting you the way that you need to be supported. He can't fix it for you, and he can't get involved, and it's gross that he'd think it appropriate to talk to her about your ex-life. I just don't even understand that part. Reaching out to try and fix your relationship is not right. And he's old enough to know that. But I can see that the motivation might have been in your interest. In some convoluted way. But approaching her about your ex-life, it's just so weird. Does he know? In detail. The way she can be. I had a sit-down convo with my boyfriend telling him that I knew things would get dicey when I pulled back and that she might lash out at him. And I was worried she might try to say something to him to manipulate me. Twisting words. Situations. Like your sister did in texts to him. He said if that ever happened, he'd first off know not to trust it and second off know not to engage. That's the thing. He has no place engaging with her about something that does not concern him. His only place is to support me. Your boyfriend's place is to support you. Not overstep his boundaries. I just think he doesn't understand the extent of these kinds of disorders, and how confusing, emotionally exhausting they can be. He needs to know that you're doing the best you can for you, and he has to trust and support you in that. Thank you for this. You put it in words much better than I think I could have, and you've laid out pretty much exactly what my thoughts are. I don't think he's had a lot of experience in things like therapy, mental illness, or other things like that. So I don't think he has a grasp on how severe things can get. He's never seen my sister when she's in the middle of one of her episodes. He's never experienced it. And she manages to seem fairly normal, if not just very high-strung when he's around. So I can understand that he just doesn't get it. Regardless, it's something he should have just let me handle, and offered support in ways that were appropriate. Example: asking me before striking up a conversation with her. Or at least telling me, look, it doesn't matter what experience your boyfriend has. Stop making shitty excuses for him so you don't have to face up to what he did. You asked him to not do something very important to you. He not only went behind your back to do it, he didn't stick up for you. He effectively betrayed you, and then he shared personal Zul information about you with someone who publicly shames you constantly. It doesn't matter how little he understands the background or mental illness. What he has done is the worst kind of betrayal. No one who respected you or cared for you would have acted in this way. You need to end it with this guy. Or live a life where he second-guesses all of your personal decisions and constantly undermines you because he knows better. Second story. My 21 female sister 19 female told me my boyfriend 18 male told her was going to break up with me because we haven't had sex. He swears he didn't. And I don't know what to do. So either my sister or my boyfriend is lying to me. And I think it's my sister. And I really don't want to hear anything about the age gap. Please. We have been dating for 2.5 years. The other day my younger sister asked me to go to the store with her to get a pregnancy test. My sister and I do not usually get along well. So I was glad she told me she was worried and asked me to go with her. On the way, I mentioned to her that my boyfriend of 2 years and I had never had sex. I am as Zul. We're working up to it. She told me she knew. And my boyfriend had told me he was going to break up with me over it. She and my boyfriend work together at a fast food restaurant. And on weekends they close together. They are friends and talk a lot. She said she had mentioned that she was worried she might be pregnant. And that's when he told her that. So we get home. She takes the test. And I text my boyfriend and ask him what the duck that's about. He swears he has no idea what I am talking about and texts my sister to ask her what she told me. Sister comes in my room, furious that I would even ask him about it. Says I should have known she was just joking. And now she will never trust me again and won't tell me what the test said. I basically break down at this point and cry because I don't know what to believe and I am worried about my sister. It has been a few days and my boyfriend doesn't really seem to understand why this is such a big deal to me. He reassured me the first night, but now wants to pretend nothing happened. For what it's worth, I really do believe he didn't say that. We have talked extensively about Maya's duality, and we have done other things. Just no PIV. Also relevant several months before we started dating. My sister asked him out. And he rejected her. At this time, they had only known her a couple days and did not know her last name. Or that we were related. He didn't realize we were related until he saw her at my house several months later. At which point he told me. She also enjoys twisting things they've talked about at work to hurt me. To the point that I've previously asked him not to talk about our relationship with her at all. Which he clearly didn't do. He says he didn't realize she could be this mean. I know I need to discuss this with my sister. But I have no idea how. Anytime I've tried to talk about anything serious with her before, it just gets twisted around and our parents yell at me. We both live at home. I have always kept her secrets and done what she needed me to do. But it's never been reciprocated. TL. DR. My sister, whom I have a strained relationship, told me that my boyfriend told her he was going to break up with me because we haven't had sex. He says this never happened. And now she says she was joking. WTF do I do now? She specifically said she was just joking. So your boyfriend didn't say anything to her at all? Especially since you had already asked him not to talk to her about your relationship, as she has twisted things in the past. He probably doesn't want to keep discussing it because he didn't do anything. It's all your sister. It sounds like your sister is jealous of you, maybe because you're dating someone she once wanted, or some other reasons, and is trying to cause issues in your relationship. She sounds awful, honestly. I'd limit contact and just be civil. It doesn't sound like she is ready for a sisterly close relationship. And might not even be. Hopefully she becomes less mean and manipulative as she grows up. But don't count on it. Put her in an information diet about your relationship and your life. She'll just twist things around and mess with you. There's no talking to her until she grows up, or you realize she's never going to change. He did admit to discussing our ex life with her at work. Which is where she got that from. After I asked him not to. He can't give me a reason as to why though. The hard part with my sister is that we live together. We both live at home while going to college. I've been leaving the house while she's home to avoid her for the last few days. But it just isn't sustainable in the long term. If our parents realize I am not speaking to her, it'll somehow end up my fault. So I am not sure what else to do. Still speak to her. But like you would a co-worker or not so close acquaintance. All small talk basically. Don't tell her things she can use against you. And if your parents are still meddling in your relationship with your sibling at 21, you might want to consider moving out if it won't mess with school finances. Edit, and your boyfriend messed up by still talking to her. If he's admitted that and won't do it again, then y'all can get past this if you're willing to forgive and forget. If he can't admit it was wrong to go against your wishes and still talk to her like that, or you're not sure if you can forgive him, you might just both be too immature to be in a relationship where he's friends with your crappy sister. Third story. I 14 male live with my sister 22 female. I hear her and her boyfriend having sex all the time. I asked for money to buy some headphones or anything and she said no. What options do I have? I need options. I am sorry for mistakes. I am on mobile and I am really tired. My brothers and sisters are at college and I speak to them all the time. I don't feel right asking them for money or telling them what is going on. Because I am scared of going into foster care. They can't take me because of college. My sister Green is the only person who can. I have trouble sleeping it because Green and her boyfriend having sex all the time. She is freaking loud, like my room is downstairs right underneath their room. And you can hear the bed making noise and screaming. It's hard to get to sleep because I will start to drift off, and then one of them will scream. I got 2 hours sleep last night. My teachers are starting to ask questions on why I am so tired all the time. I asked my sister for money for some earplugs and she said no. Do I have any options? Too long didn't read. Need money to cancel out noise from Sister X. What are options if she won't give me any? Do you have an Amazon account? If so, hit me up in a message and I will send you some earplugs. I'll chip in too. This is ridiculous. I work for an airline. I have literally hundreds of individually wrapped earplugs at my disposal. I'll mail them to you. Do you have regular headphones for your phone? You could just play some music or white noise all night. I don't. That's why I need money for them. I can't sleep if there is any noise. That's why I want earplugs. Hit like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing to our channel.